back, guys, it's Manic here, and today it's going to be the second part of the story of Command & Conquer. Remember to watch my last video on the Command & Conquer history, that link should be right on screen now. And remember to hit the like button. Let's see if we can get a view for this video. It took me a while to put this together. Remember to comment what you think about this and where do you think the series can go. And remember to subscribe for more content. Right, we're going to be kicking off right from where we left off in the last video, so if you haven't seen it, I would suggest going back and watching it. Let's jump straight in. So where we left off in the last video was at the beginning of Command & Conquer Tiberium Dawn. So Nod begins to rise against GDI as the two main superpowers in the world, and they begin using Tiberium as a currency. Right, so Nod then becomes big enough and ends up attacking the Western powers, engaging in the First Tiberium War, starting what used to be the Soviet Union, spreading westwards and then down into Africa. If you play the Nod campaign, you'll start off in Africa. If you play the GDI campaign, you'll start off in Eastern Europe. Right, so all the way through the campaign, you're fighting up until a point where this is the GDI campaign, so you're fighting all the way up until the point where there is rumours about civilians being killed en masse. Then there's a whole ruse to try and get Nod on a back foot. What they do is they cut over funding and then use that as an attempt to get Nod to come in and attack them so they can push them back massively. It works, and they push them back all the way back to their main temple, their main base, which they named Temple Prime in Sarajevo. They get there, and with the new technologies which they've built whilst they've been pulling back as a kind of a ruse, stuff like the Orca bombers and the ion cannons, which if you believe that the first Red Alert games are connected to these, you kind of believe that they are connected in some ways, with the prism tanks, prism turrets and stuff like that. When the obelisks, very similar. Maybe is that connected somehow to the ion cannons? It's all up for debate anyway. But they end up using the ion cannon, destroying the main temple and killing the enemy leader, Kane, or what is believed to be killed. But on the map itself, if you look about a bit, there is a strange blue alien vessel near the temple which crashes during the game. It is strange because it's just thrown in there, and the game itself at the time is never given any kind of explanation or anything like that. Anyway, that then jumps into the next game, Command & Conquer Renegade. Renegade is set in Southern Europe and then Africa. Towards the end it's in Northern Africa, where the non-campaign is, and you play as a commando attacking the Nod and stuff during the First Tiberium Wars towards the very end, the last few days if anything. And as you're attacking the very last mission, you attack a Nod temple, a Nod base there, mimicking the end mission of the GDI campaign of the first game. Now, when you're doing so, you can find the same kind of alien vessel there as well, but it links into the first game and will link into later games as well, especially Tiberium Sun and then Tiberium Wars 3. All links in. Strange, it is good how we've linked it all in. Anyway, it kind of follows on from the Nod campaign, because the Nod campaign is all about total Nod domination in Africa and Northern Africa. So if that works, apart from at the end of that campaign, they take over the Iron Cannon, they destroy icons around the world, stuff like Buckingham Palace, White House, you've got a choice to destroy the Eiffel Tower, other places like that. Obviously that doesn't happen, and Renegade follows off from that, where you push Nod back and you destroyed their temple there. The next game is set 2030, that's 2030, 35 years after the original game. Now, Kane is supposedly dead, but all of a sudden, Kane reappears to the people of GDI, which have now got a space station in orbit of Earth, and they are now kind of a world power. So they want Nod and Kane. Their new plan is to not only have world domination, like he's always wanted since the Second World War in the Command & Conquer universe, which was against the Russians, but now he wants to use Tiberium to mutate the world into a Tiberium world. So he starts off with destroying GDI bases and troops all over the planet, especially in the more heavily Tiberium zones, and starts beginning capturing Tiberium mutated people. starts using their genetic enhancements to try and enhance his own troops, as well as using them to fight GDI. Now, towards the beginning of the game, an alien vessel crashes middle of somewhere, and both GDI units and Nod units investigate. They fight around the alien spaceship, and they finally board it, and they find not only that there is Tiberium mutated people in there already, but then there is some kind of alien database, if anything, called the Tacitus. It is recovered by Nod, and the alien database starts to translate it. So then once Nod's trying to translate it, Kane orders his troops and the commanders, which you play as in the game, to start capturing GDI, helping Tiberium mutants. So he started capturing them, using them once again to try and enhance his own troops with genetic modifications. Nod and Kane believing that Tiberium is some kind of all singing and dancing religious icon kind of thing. And then you push through the game after having a big war with Nod and GDI again. The GDI campaign, you fight all the way back to Kane's temple and missile silos, and you finally end up killing them. Well, the commander you play as in the game, which is Commander McNeil, he ends up killing Kane inside the missile complex, taking the Tacitus from Nod, and then they begin transporting it to a tech lab where, unfortunately, the next game, Command & Conquer Tiberium Sun Firestorm, the expansion pack to it, the transport which they're on, the Kodiak, is destroyed by lightning storm and all on board are killed. However, the Tacitus is lost but is regained eventually. But to decrypt it, GDI enables the Nod AI, Cabal, to translate it. However, Cabal ends up rebelling and turning people into cyborgs and robotic armies, all in an attempt to try and wipe out humanity, as he sees them as being inferior. Because Cabal now has the kind of information which was held within the Tacitus, and he does kind of see them as being inferior and unequal to them. Nod and GDI do eventually have an uneasy alliance, team up against Cabal, killing all the cyborgs and defeating Cabal. However, at the end of it, you end up destroying Cabal and GDI begin to decode the Tacitus. However, in the Nod campaign at the end, the cutscene, these two do kind of fit in together, unlike the previous games where the engines have been completely different. You do see remnants of Cabal being implanted into Kane, where he reappears in Kane's Wrath, the expansion pack to Tiberium Wars 3. I know it's the expansion pack, but this is the way it works because it's set in between Tiberium Sun and Tiberium Wars 3. It's kind of a filler in between the two games and then at the end of Tiberium Wars 3. Anyway, in between the two times, the world is split into three types of zones. Blue, which is where the GDI live and the western kind of world. Yellow is less habitable because of Tiberium exposure, and normally where you find the favelas, the poorest of people, and mainly where Nod is largest there. And then you have a third zone, which is red zones, which are uninhabitable completely, fully Tiberium areas. It's go there and we die, simple, with our proper equipment anyway. Right, so straight after Tiberium Sun, Kane is back alive again. I know, you just can't kill him, this guy. Except, he's all fixed up except his mask, which he still has on from Tiberium Sun when he was injured. Builds the new AI, Legion, and he instructs them to start building up the forces in Rio and striking back at splinter groups such as the New Black Hand and their leaders to try and regain Nod's strength, and up until they are ready to start another Tiberium War, he ends up shutting down Legion. Now, in the year 2047 is where Tiberium Wars 3 starts. Kane decides to attack the NORAD station and gaining the launch codes to nuclear missiles and destroying the space station, the Philadelphia, which you see in Tiberium Sun, and he destroys that, wiping out all the command of the GDI. The GDI now fight Nod out of North America, out of the blue zones, and they discover they're building a new form bomb in North Africa. So when we head to North Africa, they're gathering more evidence and more, and finally they figure out that they're building what they call a liquid Tiberium bomb in Northern Africa. and in southeast Europe. Sarajevo, where Temple Prime is, and we head there again. However, whilst this is all happening, a new director of GDI is put in place, Director Boyle, and he is not a smart man, and he's not very good leader, and he doesn't work very well with his generals. They finished destroying the weapons caches in southeastern Europe and they finally head to Sarajevo. Whilst the GTI are attacking the Temple Prime at Sarajevo, yet again, the Brotherhood and Nod start to splinter, and commanders such as Commander Alexa starts to attack Temple Prime, pretend to be other commanders who she sees as being traitors to the true cause. She uses an excuse to point out the traitors within Nod and to try and gain closer ties with Kane. The new GDI director, Director Boyle, then orders the GDI commanders to use the ion cannon to destroy Temple Prime, even though generals have told him not to do it in case the liquid Tiberium bomb is underneath. However, you are ordered to do it and you use it, and there is a liquid Tiberium bomb underneath Temple Prime and it wipes out everything for hundreds of miles. Huge explosion. Straight after this, Nod commanders are in disarray. They're thinking that Kane is dead again and that the Nod is starting to splinter again. However, Kane is still alive, along with some other commanders which were believed to be in Temple Prime. He then orders one of his commanders to track down and kill who he believed to be the traitor who attacked him at Temple Prime, Killian, but instead it was actually Commander Alexa, who, to try and cover her tracks, downloads a virus into the AI Legion, so it shuts him down and tries to hide that she was the one which attacked Temple Prime. He ends up killing Killian, and then Alexa, when she's found out as being the true perpetrator of this, commits suicide in an attempt to show Kane that she was still loyal to the cause. However, because of the massive explosion in Sarajevo in southeastern Europe and Croatia, the aliens from the Tiberian Sun game see this as a sign that Earth is ready for the taking. It's ready, that they were the ones which planted Tiberium on the planet in the first place, and they see this as an attempt. The Earth is ready for harvest. Let's go harvest it. So they come along, and it leads to an alien invasion of Earth in many red zones. Apart from as diversion tactics, they start to attack blue zones in places like United Kingdom, America, Brussels, places like that, Geneva. The screen then, the aliens, they start to build towers, big screen towers, all around red zones to try and terraform Earth and to try to harvest the Tiberium from the Earth. The GDI and then some splinter factions of Nod team up, trying destroying as many towers as they possibly can. However, the majority of Nod do defend the towers, believing that the screen are actually their gods, the real gods which they believe in. The Tiberium Wars comes to an end, where the screen pull back to defend this one last tower. You end up destroying it, apart from you have two endings to the game. You have one ending where you use a GDI version of the T-bomb, the liquid Tiberium bomb. If you use it, all the other generals in the game are disgusted at you and they all resign because they don't like what GDI has become. Or if you destroy screen and Nod by normal means, and by you destroy them using like forces and armies and stuff, then the Director Boyle resigns, believing that if he doesn't, then he'll be seen as a war criminal and wanted to kill hundreds of thousands of people. Which either way, if you used liquid T-bomb, then it would have killed hundreds of thousands of millions of people probably. I'm not sure what the exact number was from the game, but I think it does tell you. Now, after all of this, Kane reactivates Legion, and after being rebuilt due to viruses which was given to Legion from Alexa to try and keep the secret of her betrayal of Kane as a secret, Kane finally rebuilds Legion with parts from Cabal and orders him to retrieve the Tacitus from Norad Station. Tacitus is then integrated into Legion, and the AI Legion is then like Cabal was, but not as genocidal as Cabal was. He then sees a message from the screen saying that they will be back with a larger invasion force and that Earth will fall and be destroyed because of the failure of the screen to start off with. This leads up to Kane going into hiding and just sat down translating the Tacitus for years and years. 15 years later, Kane returned in 2062 into a world filled where there is no more blue zones. The world is just a giant yellow or red zone. There's no safe zones, it's all covered in it. And he returns to Manchester, Great Britain, and he speaks to the GDI Council, and he ends up forming an uneasy alliance with GDI to try and build TCNs, Tiberium Control Nodes, to try and get rid of Tiberium, knowledge which is gained from the Tacitus. However, there is lots of skirmishes by rebels on each side of Nod, and the remainder of Nod doesn't wanting to work with GDI, and GDI not wanting to work with Nod. After all this, it finally blows up into a fourth Tiberium War. I know you would have thought that it would have fought by now, but obviously not. And the final step to finishing these TCN nodes is to activate the screen tower to finally to get it to work. So Nod and Kane end up going there, and Kane ended up trying to get inside. However, rebels from GDI and Nod are still fighting. Gideon on one side, which is controlling the Nod, and then there's GDI and Commander James. Now, either way you pick, if you'd picked GDI to start off with, or you picked Nod to start off with, it doesn't matter which way around, it still ends in the same way, that Kane ends up going into the tower, gets the commander to activate the portal with the codes he's implanted into his implants in his eyes and in his brain, activates the portal, and he steps through. Either way, it's the fact that if you play as Nod, you end up being killed by Colonel James and called a traitor. If you pick GDI and play as GDI, then she still shoots you, apart from it's because she doesn't want you to activate the portal because of what Kane is and what he's done in the past. Apart from that, there is no real ending. It's a pretty rubbish ending if you ask me, and pretty much everyone else who's ever played the game. To be honest, it's not a very good game, story wise or gameplay wise. If you're gonna get it, don't. Just please don't. It's rubbish. It really is. Now, that's the story over for now. Now, there's still the Generals universe, which is completely separate to this universe. And then there's Red Alert 3, which personally, story-wise, as being connected to the rest of the universe, to me, makes no sense at all, logically at all. Quick run through of the story, you get to pick one of the three sides, Allies, Soviets, and a new one, Empire of the Rising Sun, which is Japanese. And all it is a big war between the three of them. Allies and Soviets team up against the Japanese. The Japanese are fighting both of them. You defeat the Japanese, and when you defeat the Soviets, you defeat the Allies. It's you'd have to look into it properly and play the game and understand it to actually explain it fully, I think. Anyway, it's set a couple of months after Yuri's Revenge. At a guess, it has no real time scale to it. The Soviets must have built a time machine that travel back in time and kill Einstein, which makes the USSR, the Soviet Union, a world power again. At a guess, the same time as Red Alert 2 ends. At a guess. Anyway, it's got so many problems with the story because Einstein in the first game went back in time and killed Hitler, which caused Red Alert 1 and 2. If he killed Einstein, Hitler would be back, and it would still have a Second World War, and it would be our timeline now, but it would be slightly different because you wouldn't have Einstein, so you wouldn't have stuff like nukes or theory of relativity or any other scientific progresses because of that, but it would still pretty much be the same. If I am correct in saying that Red Alert 2 is set in their version of the 1970s, 80s, then at the end of the 1980s, the Berlin Wall comes down, the Soviet Union falls anyway, so, and one of the biggest threats to America and to the world, Europe-wise, would not be Russia in the late 80s, it would be someone like China, as they would be growing at the time as well, especially with other powers in Asia like Korea. And because of no nuclear weapons, the Americans would have invaded Japan, so there wouldn't have been any Empire of the Rising Sun, and the powers wouldn't have been allies because it would have been exactly what it was after the Second World War, which would have been Germany as no power and the rest of Europe crippled because of the war. So Personally, the timeline of this game is completely screwed up, but you know, it can be fun. It is a pretty fun game, but yeah, the story behind it doesn't really make much sense. It would have probably been better off if they made it so it was connected with the original game, Tiberium Dawn. So you know, you saw the connection between GDI and the Allies turning into the GDI, and then the Tiberium arriving. Maybe that could have done it, taken out the time machine part, or maybe even create a new series of games where it's set 100 odd years in the future, for instance, and that it was Command and Conquer on another planet, maybe where Tiberium was there, and you have to fight the Skrin. And you know, maybe there's a new form of Nod, followed by, say, a cyborg Kane or a Tiberium Kane or whatever, which is then fighting you as well. So then you've got your three main powers again, all fighting, but this time on a different planet. So you could make it into a new series with a new story. I think that would have been perfect, or maybe even carried on with a Tiberium line where the Skrin do invade with their larger force, and it turns out that they have come back, and there is this massive war, and done that as a game. I think that would have been pretty good. Now, Command & Conquer Generals, not really researched this one as much as I have the others, so I'll skip the Command & Conquer Generals history and story and stuff, just for the matter of time and not really know much about. Both Command & Conquer Generals and Command & Conquer Generals Zero out of the expansion to it are both really good games. Even though I'm not going to talk much about them, I would still advise maybe to look on YouTube or the internet or whatever about those two individual games. They are brilliant games. I play them all the time anyway. Anyway, that is pretty much it for the history of Command & Conquer. Like I said, I do advise anyone to go out and play them. Maybe it's not Tiberium Twilight, the fourth one, which I mentioned. And if you are looking for the story behind it, probably it's not Red Alert 3, but it is a really good game though. But yeah, on a whole, it is pretty good games. I've enjoyed researching them as well. So if you want to hit that like button so we can get a few good likes on this video. If you want to comment down what you think about the story of this, any other videos you want me to do, or any ideas on what should happen to the story now in future games if EA ever decide to make any and stop cancelling the ones they're going to plan, and also to subscribe if you want to see any more of this content. So if there's any questions you want to ask, pop them down in the comments and I'll answer you as soon as you write them, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. I'm not too sure what I'm going to be doing, but it should be out by at least Sunday. Sorry about having the week where I didn't post anything. Been really busy with stuff I've had to do. Like I said, I'll be posting at least another one by Sunday. So I hope to see you all then, and I'll see you all in the next video.